A handful of years ago, there were students who had been accepted to a major 4-year academic guitar program, and students were being accepted who couldn't play a 12-bar blues. It's 3 chords. Now, I'm not asking you to become a blues guitar player.
And I'm going to tell you something again. The things that's going on today is not the blues.
I'm not asking you to solo over it. I'm just asking you to internalize that form and be able to play it in one key. It's the simplest form of all the possible chord forms that I can think of. What is form? The short version is that every kind of tune you ever play will have some kind of form. And if you want to do this semi-professionally at all, let alone professionally, you're going to have to be learning a large amount of material on a regular basis. So when you're starting out, if that seems daunting, don't worry about all 12 bars. Take it one section at a time. Now, we're going to be working in the key of E. You can play a big cowboy, Melbay, open E7 chord like this. The first 4 bars are just one chord.
This is rock and roll. Let's play double time for the hi-hat.
The next 4 bars, you begin with A7, and you might go to a bar chord up here. Or you can play the simpler version down here. Then it's going to be back to E7. The time spent on the A7 chord and the E7 chord is going to be evenly split. So it's going to be 2 bars on A7 and 2 bars on E7. So if I'm internalizing this for the very first time, I'm just going to go E7, 4 bars. Practice that. Take as long as you need to really internalize that, and hopefully it'll happen pretty quickly. Then if you internalize the second 4 bars, just practice over and over again. A7 for 2 bars, E7 for 2 bars. When you have that completely internalized, then play the whole 12-bar blues you've learned so far up to that point. So you go E7 4 bars, A7 2 bars, E7 2 bars. When you get to the last 4 bars, you're going to start out with a B7 chord. Now you can also go up the neck and just play a B bar chord. Or if you want to play something simpler, just go once more for a Melbay B7 chord. After the B7 chord, you're going to go back to the A7 chord. I'd recommend just sticking with whatever voicing of that chord, the voicing meaning which version of the chord, if you play the bar chord or the one that's more like the open string Melbay version. But whichever A7 you've chosen, I would recommend just playing that one again. I wouldn't fly all over the fingerboard just because you know a few different chords. So B7, back to A7. And then you're going to return to E7. And then on the last bar, you can go to B7 again. So to summarize, the last 4 bars are going to be B7, A7, E7, and then finishing out with a quick B7 chord. Now the length that will be spent on that last B7 chord is open to interpretation. That's the part of the 12-bar blues progression that is commonly referred to as the turnaround. And there are all kinds of different turnarounds. You really get a good feel for this by just listening to a lot of great blues records. But you might be on the B7 chord for 2 beats, for 3 beats, for an entire measure, for 4 beats, and you got to listen to what the band is doing. There are other times where you don't even really do much of a turnaround and you just sit on the same chord for another bar. So in that case, you might just hang on E7 for 2 bars at the end. But in this case, with this track, with the turnaround that this is based on, which is really just an old Jimmy Reed groove, you go to the B7 for 2 beats only in the last measure. And you play the B7 on beat 3 and beat 4. One other quick but really important thing before we start putting this all together. If you're not yet familiar with what a shuffle rhythm is, or what that feels like, all hope is not lost. That's fine. I'll meet you with where you're at. I just need you to come to the table with the bare basics, and I'll help you get there along the way. The best way to understand and internalize what a shuffle rhythm feels like is to listen to a lot of blues. But as far as practicing it yourself, all you need to do is know a few basic rhythms. Now, if you're not yet familiar with quarter notes, eighth notes, and triplets, please seek out some beginning musical instruction and then join us back here. But assuming that you are, the difference between a straight feel and a shuffle feel is really simple. In a straight eighth note feel with a lot of rock music, for example, it's straight. It's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you've heard it your whole life if you listen to classic rock. The shuffle is different. The eighth note falls later. The way to practice this is to get out a metronome and do this one very simple exercise. You're going to take a metronome and you're just going to listen to the clicks as though it were in 3. So you're going to hear click, 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 and just count in 3. And what I want you to do is play the first click, don't play anything on the second click, and then play again on the third click. And you're going to just repeat that. So it's going to be play, click in between, play with the click on the third. And then you're going to repeat that over and over to internalize your shuffle. It's easier demonstrated, so this is what I'm really talking about. When you take the metronome away, that's really much more what a shuffle rhythm would feel like in the eighth notes. Now once you have these basic chords, practice strumming on the upbeats. That'll be the and of each beat. That'll be in between beats 1, 2, 3, 4. So the idea is that you want the chord in between the clicks. Take that rhythm and play your 3 chords using that same rhythm all the way through the entire 12-bar cycle. Later on, you'll learn how to transpose this and easily adapt it to any key that you want to play in. You might be playing the blues in G, in A. In other situations, you may be playing the blues in B flat or in A flat or in less commonly used guitar keys. Guitar players get away with so much. They really shouldn't. You can become a complete musician as a guitar player and still have fun with the instrument. There's really no excuse. So, I'm going to give you all of the secrets. If there are secrets, I'm going to give them away to you. But I just ask that starting out, learn what a 12-bar blues is if you're not already familiar, internalize it deeply, and don't take for granted the value of just listening. Just go ahead and listen to a stack of blues guitar records if you like rhythm and blues. Go put on Albert King, B.B. King, Freddie King, Howlin' Wolf records with Hubert Sumlin. Go put on Albert Collins records. If you're into the blues, we'll go much deeper about the blues unto the blues later on. But right now, just internalize the form. Even if you don't want to be a blues guitar player, it'll do you a lot of good. And I'll see you in the next video.